Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of The Based Booth. On today's episode, we are going to be conducting an interview with a very special person who I've been meaning to meet for a long time. I've been a big fan of his works, and I wanted to bring him on here and speak about those writings with him. So, without further ado, give it up for the renowned writer Muhammad Ameen Sugapong. Hello. Good to meet you. I'm doing well, thanks. How are you? It's good to meet you, man.
Yeah, it's good to meet you too.
Looking very handsome today. Very,
Thanks. You as well.
nicely
You as
dressed,
well.
So, yeah, it's an honor to be here.
Oh no, the pleasure's all mine. I'm just glad to be here. It's an honor to meet you, and yeah. So what will we be talking about today?
Just a few questions about the great works that you've done, your writings, which I'm a big fan of. I don't want this to be too formal or anything. I don't want you to be too tense. All right, this is pretty casual. This is relaxed.
Oh no, yeah. I get it.
Let you know.
Thanks.
That,
I appreciate
that. I appreciate it.
By the way, that applause we just heard, was that real? Like, are we live right now?
No. I have a soundboard right here. It adds character to the recording.
Oh, okay.
So I use it for transitions and stuff. So don't mind it.
Oh, okay. So I guess if we're gonna talk about my writings, we should start with me personally. So let's just start at the beginning. As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a writer.
Where's that coming from?
It's nothing.
No,
Really, it's nothing. Keep going.
I read a lot of books as a kid, and I guess that's kind of where my talent and love for writing kind of came from in the first place. I read a lot of books, and so with these works, these poems and these stories I write, they're very personal and very emotional, and metaphorical, because I love metaphors, and so you'll see that in each of them.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, for example, my poem about family, which goes something like this. The cold nights are sheltered by the wooden roof provided by only a mother and father's hard work. The bright walls hold against the cruel winds with cushions layered for comfort and ease and colors decorating throughout. But there is one sickness within that covers all, that brightens and casts a dark cloud over the fruits of their own labor, that keep a wall built to ensure division continues, the destruction and neglect of crucial emotion like pouring of salt into a wound that never closes, enough to overwhelm any person, no matter how many warm nights he is surrounded by, the sickness of emotional strife and neglect that builds up and racks into mountains of stacks until the hills can be held up for no longer and crashes down into a sea of anguish. That one, I don't know. When I was writing it, I kind of felt a little reluctant. I was a little held back. It was kind of difficult for me to be like open about something like this, and I think that's why the poem comes up a little short in certain areas. There's a lot of room for interpretation, but overall, I kind of liked it. So yeah, that, as you can see, very emotional, very personal to me. This is in sharp contrast, however, to my other poem, which I titled Ekphrastic Struggle, and it was actually inspired by hip-hop. Specifically, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and their breakout song The Message, which I really loved because just the way they managed to use rhythm and words, and they just welded them together and to bring attention to this pressing matter, what their lifestyle was like in such poor neighborhoods, So that's what I kind of did here, I tried to paint a picture of a poor area, a struggling class of people. And so it goes like this. The dirty streets of urban city, covered in grime and filth, with poverty pungently permeating and struggle at every turn. The only respite is found in rhythm, where boys and children come to speak on how they live with what they've seen and heard. One of them is a man with unending problems, kicking and clawing, trying to stay afloat. Impossible odds that flood a sea of troubles, chained to the dungeon of poverty which he calls home. To many this is shocking, but to others it is a day of the week in the life of a poor man, the prison of filth that has trapped generations and swore to always bind down its inhabitants until they curl and die in a sickness of troubles, ending their sorrow. So yeah, it was highly inspired by that song, And I call, in case you're wondering, the name ekphrastic struggle, I called it that because in ekphrastic poems, the lines spill over until the next lines, if you get what I mean. Like they kind of, they don't end, they don't end their idea on their line. Sometimes it goes on to the next one. And here, the struggle and poverty, it spills over from one person to the next, or from one generation to the next, more accurately, and that's kind of what I was trying to do with this, and it's an ekphrastic poem in nature, and it's probably my best use of rhymes, metaphors, and vocabulary, if I'm being truthful.